Hello and welcome to a special Wonkette chat. I am here with the lovely and talented Jamie Lynn Crofts to celebrate the fact that in Wisconsin next week, where she currently lives, they're going to have abortions again. So,
Yay!
cheers. With my aforementioned Trader Joe's sparkling wine. It's very fancy.
I've got some iced
So,
coffee with Frangelico. It's a good combination.
yeah, it is. It's basically like Nutella, kind of. It's
Mhm.
sort of a, yeah. I put Frangelico in hot chocolate with espresso, and then I'm like, this is like very specifically a Nutella beverage.
Yes.
But delicious celebratory beverages aside, let's explain what went on. So a judge overturned the super crappy, what was it, 1849
Yep.
law barring abortion, which read any person other than the mother who intentionally destroys the life of an unborn child is guilty of a Class H felony. And B, causes the death of the mother by an act done with intent to destroy the life of an unborn child. So basically, it was you can't throw a bitch down the stairs in order to kill her baby because you don't want her to have that. And the judge actually ruled that that did not apply to abortion.
Right. The judge specifically said something to the effect of like, there is no abortion ban in
Mhm.
Wisconsin, because they read it to be exactly that, to be a law
Yeah,
against feticide, that had absolutely nothing to do with a consensual abortion.
which it actually, if you actually like look at the text, it really didn't.
Yeah.
Um, it really just actually look. It says other than the mother. So
Hmm.
and back then they didn't really, they didn't really have a lot of like doctors performing abortions. It was primarily midwives. I believe that doctors at that time were far more concerned with wandering wombs and what have you. Um,
Well, and I love actually, isn't there a reference somewhere? There's a reference somewhere in that statute. It might be in the next part that says like when a quote unquote therapeutic abortion
mhm.
can happen, that actually talks about quickening, or
Oh
like
yeah,
that's how you can tell how old this thing actually is. And yeah, it's our pre-Civil War, the US still had slavery abortion ban.
yeah, because they didn't believe that the baby was there until the quickening. Like that is how they rolled, and they did not. Abortion was entirely accepted basically until they stopped believing in this stuff.
Yep.
Um, the only problem was the fact that like it was not being done safely.
Yeah. What was interesting about this, so the ruling was actually from July,
Mhm.
and it actually wasn't like a ruling on the full merits of the case. It was denying a motion to dismiss the suit was filed by some anti-woman district attorney. And so I'm really proud of Planned Parenthood, and I'm sure they talked to about a bajillion lawyers before they,
Mhm.
before they decided that this was the right course to move forward. But like, I'm really proud of them for doing that. And like, they admitted like this is not the final stages of the case. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. But yeah, for now, this it's unenforceable. So we should be providing people with abortion care.
Absolutely. Like that's freaking awesome. Um I'm very excited for the women of Wisconsin. Also like man, now they don't have to drive down here in order to get an abortion, which is pretty freaking inconvenient. Like,
Yep. Yep,
you know.
especially, working class people, people who don't have access to
Mhm.
transportation, who don't have, vacation days or sick days they can use, it really, even if it's someone just coming from here in Milwaukee and getting down there, like that's not easy for everyone.
No, I mean it's Milwaukee is still pretty far. Like I think the furthest that we've usually like just like driven has been just to Racine, and that's pretty close. But that's Wisconsin is a huge state, so like if you get up to the top, it's like I'm not sure how far it is. Probably like 8 hours or something. Like that's
Oh yeah, if you go all the way up through like up to northern Michigan.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
it's
good.
pretty far from like, it's not an easy trip to take if you do not have, immediate access to that kind of transportation. If you don't have like the days off that you can take on the spur of the moment, which, like, man, if you are working an hourly job, you probably do not have.
Yep.
Um, I know that when I like worked hourly jobs, I had to take, like, if I wanted days off, even like when I was full time, technically, I would have to give them like months in advance
Yep.
notice. It wasn't like, oh, you know what, I need an abortion. Can I get off like this week? And
Right.
puts people in a really precarious position. Um, specifically, like, what are the actual laws in Wisconsin now? Like, is there
So
anything or
so yeah, there are some things that we have that I wish we did not. I think there's, a mandatory, consultation and a wait period at
yeah,
like
I guess a
24
24
hours
hour.
before. And we
Mm,
have a 20-week ban, which I hate because, people who are having abortions after 20 weeks are having them for very, necessary reasons, usually very serious medical reasons. But like, I mean, this is just a huge step up from the absolute nothing
yeah,
that
which was
we
like
had.
nothing. It was
Yeah, I
nothing. It
mean,
was like,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm sure you remember the story from last summer about the woman who just was forced to hemorrhage for days until a hospital decided she was sick enough that they would save her life.
Which is like truly, truly, like, absolutely horrifying. And that's, conservatives want to paint this as, oh, they want abortion until the moment of birth because they just love murdering babies and that's really all they're into. That's what they're there for. Um, and that's why they want these laws, just for the sheer joy of baby murder. Um,
Yep. Yep. And
and
meanwhile, these
no,
are the same
no,
people
that's not.
these are the same people who still won't vote to allow Medicaid for up to 12 months
Mhm.
after giving birth.
Yeah,
Uh, so yeah, it's great. They care about the fetus until the moment it's born.
yeah. Well, except for, oh, well, I have heard that one of the things that we are very into is post birth abortions now, and we're totally fine with like killing babies after they are born as well. That is like they're actually trying to make it so that like that is the primary interest, just the sheer joy of baby murder. Um, they don't, they refuse to even like absorb the fact that, we just want it to be a doctor's decision rather than the state's. We don't want the doctor being like, hey, I guess maybe I need to let this person die. uh
Yeah.
because
And
like when
yep,
you're in those situations, like, you need to make decisions fairly soon. Like, I've been in emergency situations before, and the doctor comes out and they're like, hey, these are your options. The doctor
yep.
needs to be able to give you those options.
Yep. Oh, and Wisconsin also has the uh, wonderful position of having, I believe, the worst racial disparity in maternal mortality in the country. So
Does For some reason I thought that was Mississippi, but
it's
there.
possible, but I know that we're up there. It's incredibly bad, and so is our Black infant mortality here in Wisconsin. But like abortion bans, particularly, are dangerous for Black women who are already
Oh
not
yeah,
receiving the care that they should be receiving in these situations. It's horrific, but we don't care if women die, so that's everything's
not so
fine.
much. No. I mean, we're looking at all these states where OBGYNs are like fleeing, like they're running for the damn hills, and they're literally just pretending it isn't happening. Like in Idaho, like it's documented that like all these like gynecologists are leaving, especially ones who focus on like, you know difficult pregnancies, because they don't want to get thrown in jail, and you end up and all these people are just saying like, oh no, you know what, they're not actually doing that, this is not actually happening, I'm putting on horse blinders, and as long as I
Yep.
just say it's not happening, then everything is okay. um
Yep. Yep, and we also, just saw the unsurprising statistics that abortions went up in every state where it's still legal
yeah,
in the year post Dobbs, which is entirely unsurprising because, as everyone has been saying all along, abortion bans don't reduce the demand for abortion. Um,
like people aren't like suddenly like, oh, you know what, guess I'll just have this baby. um like that does not happen, things get really bad, you
Yep,
know.
and some people are forced to because of economic and
Yeah,
in other situations. But no, it's exactly what everyone thought. Because yeah, everyone from Wisconsin has had to flee to Illinois and
yeah,
Minnesota for their care. But frankly, I mean, like we were just talking about, these
yeah,
bans are just so dangerous. Even if your pregnancy is entirely a wanted one, if I wanted to have a child, I would move out of Wisconsin before I tried to
yeah,
get pregnant.
because there are no longer like, because like a lot of like the labor and delivery units are being shut down, a lot of, you know, the people who have any expertise in, you know, difficult pregnancies are leaving these areas because they
Yep,
don't want to go to prison, and that is, you know, extremely dangerous for even people with wanted pregnancies. Like it's
yep, and
not.
like yep, and like I'm so happy that Planned Parenthood is going to start doing abortions again. I'm hoping that maybe some other providers will
Yeah,
follow suit. I think that would be great.
I think they
But
will
like
now that
that's
they have like
still
the protection of Planned Parenthood behind them, because you know a lot of the, you know, Planned Parenthood doesn't always do surgical abortions,
right.
and so we need the clinics who do those abortions to be working as well.
Yes, absolutely. And it still isn't necessarily going to help a woman who ends up in the ER because something's wrong with her
Yeah.
pregnancy. But it's still a really exciting day. And yay for
Yay.
something good happening. Like meanwhile, like the Republicans in the legislature are trying to decide if they should impeach our newest Supreme Court justice for daring to be a Democrat. And it's nice when we get to have a nice thing happen every once in a
Because we
while.
don't usually everything is bad news, at least like, you know.
Uh,
No, I actually feel bad because commenters are like, you know, basically like they're like, Robin's posts always depress me. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm the one, you know, I mean, I can write about some Marjorie Taylor Greene for you, but like, I don't think anyone wants that from me anymore.
yeah.
Like,
Well, no, it's like every time I write about like the future of the Supreme Court, or like someone asks me and was like hoping I'm going to reassure them, and I'm
yeah,
like, oh no, unless something major changes and very quickly, like we're fucked for at least
yeah,
probably the rest of my life. Like,
yeah. No, there's no turning. Like, we are in fact fucked. Like, there's not really like a, you know, easy silver lining there or like happy ending. We're kind of just fucked.
yep.
I actually, I mean, slightly off topic, but like one of the things I wrote about on what is like now yesterday uh, was we have like a domestic abuser in front of the Supreme Court being like, I would like to keep my guns, please,
Hmm.
so that I can, you know, shoot at more women in parking garages. Like,
Your your constitutional right to beat your woman and still have a gun.
yeah,
Obviously, and
because the founding fathers were pretty chill about domestic violence. So,
well, and I'm sure Sammy Alito is gonna go find us some witch burner from England in the
like,
1700s who said that actually it's required that you beat your wife
yeah.
and then shoot some. Because this is the world that we live in.
I know, and it's a horrifying world. It's really like quite disturbing. Yeah,
Ah,
it's like, you know,
but
hey, like the apocryphal rule of thumb. They're like, as long as he's only beating with,
Uh,
a switch the size of his thumb, that is actually fine, and that man deserves his gun. Um, like that is the actual like reality that we are wrestling with here. Like, should a guy who is stalking his ex-wife and threatened to murder her with a gun be allowed to have a gun? Because maybe George Washington would have been cool with that. We don't know. Like,
uh, again, if we were talking about Revolutionary War muskets, I would have a
mm,
much different opinion on the necessity of gun control. It's
oh God.
almost like when you decide that you're going to try it yourself in the frame of mind of people from a couple hundred years ago. It's not the best thing to
Yeah.
hang your judicial philosophy on.
It's like, hey, you know what? Women weren't voting back then. What were they going to do? Nothing. Like, oh, good
Oh,
Lord. No, they're actually like, well, back then the only punishment for domestic abusers was being put in the stocks or perhaps fined.
uh,
No one was taking their guns away.
no, it's like kind of, it needs to be turned into a drinking game of like what Samuel Alito will pull out of his ass. Like you go
It's
to,
going to be incredible. I'm sure it will be incredible. Like, they're just coming up with like the absolute weirdest shit possible in order to justify turning everything into a trash fire.
yeah,
Like,
pretty
that
much.
is, yeah. So, yeah, shit's getting weird, but we are very happy to have some small amount of good news in Wisconsin,
Yes,
which is a great
I,
state. I love Wisconsin. It's
yes,
nice there.
we need better, and you know what? We deserve better, even based on our voting record. The only reason our legislature sucks so much is gerrymandering.
Yeah. No, this is the thing with Wisconsin. You know that if there it actually did get put to a vote, people would vote in favor of abortion because it wouldn't be a
Overwhelming.
overwhelmingly, because it wouldn't be a gerrymandered vote.
Yep,
It would be like the popular vote. And if you
yep,
go with the popular vote in most states, like even the real conservative ones, like Kansas, people tend to vote for the liberal things.
yep.
The fact that they
Uh,
don't vote for Democrats generally because they personally dislike them is another issue. But they will vote for abortion, and they will definitely vote for it in Wisconsin if it comes to that.
oh, they absolutely would. It's the only reason we can't put it to a statewide vote is because in Wisconsin, the only way to do that is through the legislature.
Yeah.
If it were just a matter like in some states it can be done by like signature collecting and stuff. That would
Hmm.
be easy to do. It would pass overwhelmingly in a landslide. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, it is very difficult to get things to the people in our state because our gerrymandered legislature really prefers to be the gatekeepers for us. But
America.
Yep. But hey, people are going to be able to access abortion in Milwaukee and Madison starting on Monday. They're hoping to reopen Sheboygan soon. They have to restaff up because they're not at their previous levels. But I am very, very excited at this
No, I'm
development.
so happy for people. And, it's going to be, even like that small amount is going to be a major game changer because, you can't expect people to be going to like here or Minnesota in order to like access their basic reproductive health needs.
Yep. Yep. Very happy development. And
Yay.
and it's crazy. We were just talking about how popular abortion rights are generally. Actually, Marquette had done some polling specifically on the ban as it was being enforced, and it was something like 90% of people disagree with the ban because it is so. If you read it as a ban, it is so strict that no rape or incest exceptions,
Yeah.
etc. And so, fuck that law.
Yeah. And no one wants that. No one wants that. And you know what?
Well, there
Again,
are a
it
few
says
people.
except for the mother. So,
Yeah, there are a few people who want that actually. There is like one
oh
group
yeah,
here that I never remember which ones. Like th there are multiple like pro-life Wisconsin groups with similar names, but one of them is like even worse than the rest of them, and they're like, oh yeah, we don't believe in any exceptions for the life or health of the mother at all,
yeah.
and like they
Oh
openly
no.
say that.
Well,
And the guy who got his ass beat by Judge Janet in our Supreme Court election is buddies with those people and takes their money.
well, their whole thing is they claim that no one dies in childbirth these days anyway, even though like they factually do. They're like, no, there's no such thing as a life saving abortion procedure, which there is.
Uh-huh.
Um, they just make shit up and see if they can get people to go along with it. They also, I don't know. I've always felt that they personally kind of fetishize the idea of, they almost have like a fairy tale idea of like women dying in childbirth.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what a beautiful maternal sacrifice.
Yes, no, and I've seen
Like,
some really weird pieces that like about like a woman who decided to like forego chemo in order to keep her pregnancy and died. And like instead of being like, wow, this is so horrible, it's like they, make her a saint and a martyr to the anti-woman
yeah.
cause. Um, and it's just really bizarre when they start talking about
Well, I
things
think
like that.
like especially for like a lot of men, frankly, it becomes a like, oh well, if women won't die during childbirth, does that mean my mommy didn't really love me? And I swear to God, I think there is an element of that.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Like I think there's like I think that in their mind that terrifies them because they're thinking like, oh my God, would my mother have aborted me? Like they like the idea of like, oh, this grand sacrifice
Ugh.
of women like losing their lives, and they're like, oh, but it's for their children, and I guess that's someone's uh option if they choose that. I wouldn't tell someone they can't choose that. I wouldn't recommend it. But no, that should not be. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's like if someone chooses that, that's their decision that they should make and talk to their family about, and that's not my place to tell them. But like using it as to say that like that's why we shouldn't let women make decisions about their
Yeah.
own bodies. It's um yeah. It's like no,
Because boy, wouldn't it be
this
so
is a
nice to know that
tragedy.
your mother sacrificed her life so you could be born? Like, no, I actually don't think that would be very nice.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
And I wouldn't wanted to have killed my mom when she was 22
Yeah,
or,
that
or
would be like
24.
some
Like,
real shit to live through. I mean, I'm just saying, I just recently watched the Lifetime The Bad Seed Returns, and part of that girl's issues was the fact that she, like they don't call her Rhoda Penmark in the new series, they call her Emma, and that's some bullshit, but like she's like, I killed my mother when I was born. Yeah, that'll give you some issues, I would imagine.
yeah,
Um Like it's not, I don't know, they love the idea of, I don't know, I really do think that they have like serious mommy issues and just serious issues with women in general, and that is where so much of this comes from.
oh yeah,
Um, they want to punish women for having sex with men who are not them. They want to, punish their mom for the hypothetical idea that she wouldn't have murdered herself in order to like let you fucking asshole, survive and thrive. Like, yeah.
good times, good times.
All right. Again, we are so glad to have good news, and I am so glad that you were able to join me today for a little
Yes, it's
bit.
always great
Um,
to see you, Robyn.
it's always a pleasure, and I do hope that you move to Chicago, and then we can do this like live on my couch. It'll be crazy.
That would be
Um,
amazing. We should actually just do that sometime when I'm in Chicago anyway.
yes, it'll be like Wayne's World, but not. Um,
Yes,
we do kind of have the hair for it.
it's
Like,
true.
yeah, no, I would just like, did it? No, he didn't have bangs. For some reason, I was thinking that Wayne had bangs and he did not. But Mike Myers had. I think he's had this haircut and other things.
Yeah, probably.
I can also
Ah.
always revert to my original accent and start talking like Linda Richmond. So that's that's gonna be it for today. And we will see you guys soon. Have a super Friday.